All right, Dan. So the first question I wanted to ask you is how to do rank and rent when you are broke. Is it
Yeah,
possible?
yeah, it's a good question. I think at the end of the day, if you have the understanding of how the internet works, if you have the strategies, the techniques, the understanding of how to rank a site in the search engines all over the web, in directories, and just sprinkle this phone number all over the place, if you have that knowledge in your back pocket already, it's minimal, right? You have to have a domain name, a phone number. These things cost $10. A phone number's, I think, 15 bucks. Some hosting might be like 15, 20 bucks. And we're not talking about large amounts of money that's necessary. I think where people can get themselves in a little discouraged is when they don't have money, they think that every business must need lots of money in order to get started. I find that this is a business that you can run extremely lean. In fact, I got into this whole industry after being laid off from the automobile industry. I had homes underwater at this point. This is back 2007, 2008 time. So I think in one way it can be discouraging if you don't have any money, but hard work trumps all at the end of the day. If you're willing to go put the effort into what this whole model's about and you know what to do, it's inexpensive as can be. It's not like you're buying a new piece of real estate for $200,000, $300,000 to rent it out for 1,500 to 2,000 bucks a month. We're talking about being able to get in with little to nothing more than just your knowledge and understanding and be able to go and create a business from scratch.
It takes more effort if you are broke. Like you might have to go write content yourself versus being able to buy content or hire somebody to write content for you. It just takes more effort. Talk to me about like how some fast money strategies. Like if I want to make $1,000 this week, if I join your program, what can I do to make $500 to $1,000 today or this week?
Yeah, there's plenty of stuff that you can do to do that. I'll start from the top. We'll keep it in the model from a macro standpoint. We'll start there. So right off the bat, you can pre-sell these things, meaning you can go out, have a conversation with a business owner before you've ever built anything, before you've ever put up a phone line all over the internet, any of this stuff. And you could simply propose them with the idea of, hey, if I was able to bring you leads and phone calls for the industry or the specific niche that you're in, is there any way that we could have a monetary agreement that would work for the both of us? So I'm getting you business and you're paying your bill to me with the business I'm bringing you. That way it's a win. So that's one way of doing it, right? You can go do that up front. There's a lot of people too that they don't have any problem selling an entire lead gen or SEO package up front. That's for me, it's not necessarily like how I like to do it. I like to build results in advance. I like to be able to make it so undeniably, I like the proof so undeniable that they have to say yes to me. And sometimes when you try to sell something for a flat fee up front, there's a gap of trust unless you've known the person for a long time. Maybe there's someone you've worked for, your friends and family, or places that you do business. But without that trust and without that kind of mutual respect back and forth, selling up front is a little bit tougher. Okay. But that's not to say that it can't be done. Now, one of the great things that happens when you learn this technique and this process that we teach you, this business model, is there's so many extra little things that you have to learn along the way that help. They're the building blocks of it. And the cool thing about those building blocks is each and every one of those building blocks is an entire industry in and of itself. So what I mean by that is like when you put up a local lead gen property, okay, you had to go and build out that website. You had to build out those pages. You had to get the content on the page, the pictures, how it flows, the phone number, all those things. Just that service alone, just being able to build that alone, there's plenty of businesses in 2024 that still to this day have no web presence. They don't have a website. They don't have anything. And then there's all these new businesses that start up each and every year all over the world. And they're usually not in the web building business, right? They're in whatever business they're going to get into. And so these are great targets. And these are easy to find too. So you can go on your state website. You can go and do searches for businesses that just started, right? I always encourage people to just look at the places that you spend money on your debit or credit card just in your daily life, whether it's a restaurant you go to often, the place you get your hair cut, if you have a massage therapist, if you have your leaves blown, your gutters cleaned, your roof, the list goes on and on. And we all spend money places. And so one of the exercises I like for any new student, especially if they're a little bit low on the cash side, is to look at the places you've been spending money and then go and audit. Do they have a web page? How does it look? Is it old and outdated? Could it use a refresh? How are their reviews online? Are they good? Are they bad? How is their SEO, their search engine optimization? Do they rank well when you search for the terms that are surrounded their name? If they're carpet cleaner Las Vegas, are they popping up? So when you're able to understand these different things that each and every business could be more profitable with, it's really easy to go to them before you have any experience based on the way we train this and be able to offer them one of these different items, one of these different building blocks, if you will, of what really builds the local lead gen and rank and rent model.
Yeah. Nice. What would you say, just real quick, on average, like a web build, let's say a business owner, because there's plenty of business owners you can't like, they don't even have a website connected to their Google Map listing. And we're using like our web builder like Snaps.ai. You can spin up these websites pretty quickly. What do you think would be like a fair price that a students can charge a business? It's probably going to change depending on the business owner and the industry, but just as a ballpark measure, like what kind of dollar amount would you say is that students could charge?
There's a couple different ways to approach it. Some of the ways that I've liked to approach it is I understand that small business owners, they're doing a lot, right? They're not funded by the public. They're not publicly traded. These are your local mom, pa's, your next door neighbors. These are the people that they're the roots of your community, right? They're not an outside national brand, right? So they're not a national brand, meaning they don't have these crazy budgets. So you got to be really wise on how you work with small business owners because they will work with you. They will pay you, but you have to become the bill that pays their bills. So if we're talking about just like a simple web build,
Pricing like a web build, $1,000, $2,000, what would you say would be like a fair price to price these kind of like quick web builds?
knowing that small business owners are tight on cash, they're generally hiring and firing, they're wearing a lot of different hats in their business. You don't want to come at them and try to knock their head off, right? If you were to go the web build route, your goal there is just to get your foot in the door, get some cash flow going. So one of the ways I like to charge was on a monthly basis. So I would build it all up front before they ever even paid me a dime. This is what I call results in advance. And you can learn this in the very first week of joining with all the tools and techniques that we teach you guys. But results in advance and then be able to come to them at a monthly amount that they can pay for it over time because every business owner is on a month to month, they're on month to month budgets. Their bills come due every month, their rent comes due every month, their payroll, their cost of goods sold, everything's coming due. And so instead of trying to take some big upfront, I think the national average for a website is $2,000 to $5,000 currently. So instead of trying to knock their head off for that, I usually come up with something like 300, 400 bucks a month. I usually put them on a 12 to 18 month payout schedule. But my idea in that entire time was to allow them breathing room to get them online and then to be able to grow with their company. But again, web builds are just one of many different techniques and building blocks that you're going to learn. I'm talking from SEO to citation building to backlink strategies. These are all different building blocks that you can go out there and sell right away. I don't think it's the greatest idea to start a business with no money and put yourself so far behind the eight ball. I think in 2024, there's lots of different ways to get more capital in your business. And so ultimately, I would like you to follow the plan of building the long-term assets instead of what I call fast cash plays. We train you a ton of different types of them, how to do them, how to accomplish them, and even ways to move yourself in the door. But don't forget this, that fast cash comes and goes, right? If you sold a website for $2,000 to $5,000, it's a great way to get you started, but it's not a way to, in my opinion, it's not a way to build a long-term smart business, right? You want to have that monthly reoccurring revenue coming in from your lead gen properties, and that's going to stack month in and month out. And so one mistake I do see people make when they are a little bit short on funds is they go too far into this fast cash mode and they forget about the whole model that we're training them, which has been one of the most explosive models in local marketing since I've learned about it over a decade ago. So it's important, I think, that people don't go down that rabbit hole too far. I'd much rather see them knock out a couple of these fast cash things in the get-go and then move heavily into local lead gen because that's the thing that's going to continue to pay you year in and year out for a very long time.
Yeah, I totally agree. I did some fast cash. It did help me fund my business a little bit, but I did other creative things, cut down on my monthly expenses on the different random things that I was buying, cut down on that as much as possible, even get some side gigs and just try to fund this business in many different ways as possible. But my ultimate focus was always funneling that money, whatever excess budget that I had, to building more digital assets that I own and control.
No
All right.
doubt.
Yeah. Cool.